Good morning to all the panelists who have logged in now for this 48th webinar, which is being organized in association with ICAI Puducherry Center. And we have distinguished panelists today who have joined us. Let me first of all welcome Engineer R. Radhakrishnan, who is the Secretary General ICAI Headquarters, who would be giving the inaugural speech for today's function. And we have Engineer S. Shivagandan, Chairman ICAI Puducherry Center, who will be giving the welcome address on behalf of ICAI. And we have Dr. Revati, who would be introducing our speaker of the day, Dr. G. Mohan Ganesh, who would be talking on a very important topic, that is sustainable green concrete. Till now, we had a number of webinars on various aspects of concrete, and we had on processes. We had a few webinars on learnings from structural failures from distinguished speakers. We had speakers from West Bengal, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Delhi, Mumbai, who have shared various aspects of civil engineering with us. In fact, we also had a virtual geotechnical conference from May 14th. Association of Consulting Civil Engineers and Indian Geotechnical Society had contributed. In fact, this is the second webinar with ICAI Puducherry Center. The earlier one we had with Dr. Muttaram, who spoke on geotechnical engineering, and that was a very good topic. And today also, I am sure that this topic would be very useful for all of us, for all the construction professionals. It would help us to further think about how to make our building materials sustainable. So let me welcome all the construction professionals who have come in. And before I give it to the speaker, I would request Engineer Shivagandan Subramaniam to start off with the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of Indian Concrete Institute, Puducherry Center, I take this opportunity to greet and welcome you all for, in fact, this is our second webinar with Ramco Cements. First of all, I would like to greet and welcome our chief guest, Engineer R. Radhakrishnan, who is in fact our Secretary General for Indian Concrete Institute and CEO, and he has been a tying force for our organization, and he is always supportive to our Puducherry Center and encourages us to perform. Welcome, sir. And I also extend my warm welcome to our eminent speaker, who is in fact from VIT, Controller of Examination, Dr. Mohan Ganesh, who is going to deliberate on sustainable green concrete. Welcome, sir. Next, I would like to greet and welcome our panelist, Engineer Anil Kumar Pillai, who has been discharging his duty perfectly as a moderator. In fact, it is the 48th webinar for Ramco and second for Puducherry Center ICAI. Welcome you, sir. I also extend my warm welcome to all Indian Concrete Institute members, our PANSIA members and engineers from Federation and other distinguished guests. Thank you, sir. Once again, I welcome you all. Now I am handing over the proceedings to Dr. Radhakrishnan. Thank you, sir.
Your mic is unmuted. My mic is unmuted, sir.
Yeah.
Unmute your mic, yeah.
Good morning to you all, and I am immensely pleased to talk to you all through this webinar. This is the second webinar organized by Puducherry Center. My sincere appreciation to ICAI Puducherry Center for the service it renders to its members. A strong, passionate team under the benign chairmanship of Engineer Sivagandan makes it possible. I thank Ramco Cements for joining hands with ICAI and hosting this webinar. ICAI is proud to be associated with Ramco. Thanks to Engineer Anil Kumar Pillai and his team for sharing their platform to beam this webinar. ICAI and Ramco can work together in several areas as both the organizations have several common goals to serve the concrete industry and to disseminate knowledge. I look forward for many such events. Any development is to be sustainable in nature, and only such developments will be recognized in the long run, because we are concerned about the well-being of our future generation. We want to leave a clean environment for them to live in. We want to conserve the natural resources and substitute them with renewable resources. Reduce, reuse, and recycle are to be our watchwords. A professional body like ICA has its responsibility towards the society, and that is why all our programs advocate the concept of sustainability. That way, the topic chosen for today's program is of paramount importance. I thank Professor Mohan Ganesh for conceding with the request of the Puducherry Center to enlighten our members on the sustainable practices in making concrete. I am sure the participants will carry a lot to practice after listening to Professor Mohan. I once again congratulate ICA Puducherry team and thanks Ramco Cements for joining ICA, and I am confident that the coordination will sustain forever. Over to Dr. Revati to introduce the speaker.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, quite audible.
Thank you, sir. Very good morning to one and all here. It is indeed a great pleasure to be the part of this webinar and to introduce the speaker of today's webinar, Dr. G. Mohan Ganesh. Dr. G. Mohan Ganesh obtained his PhD degree in structural engineering from IIT Roorkee in the area of steel concrete composite structures with artificial neural network and genetic algorithm in the year 2006. He has joined the Department of Civil Engineering, VIT Vellore, as a senior lecturer in the year 2006 and was promoted to a post of professor in the year 2010 and is currently working as a controller of examinations since 2015 December. He is also a recipient of the prestigious Indian Concrete Institute Award in 2015 for Outstanding Young Concrete Engineer of Tamil Nadu. Professor G. Mohan Ganesh has supervised almost 7 PhD scholars and 1 MS student and more than 70 MTech theses and has published more than 50 research papers in referred peer-reviewed national and international reputed journals. His research interests include high-volume fly ash in concrete, utilization of coal ash in concrete, artificial neural network, and genetic algorithm. He has successfully completed 2 R&D sponsored projects sponsored by Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, and NLC. So that's all to introduce about the speaker of today's webinar. And now I'm over to the moderator, Anil Kumar sir.
Yes.
Mohan Ganesh sir, can you hear us?
We are not able to hear you, sir. Your mic is.
Yeah, I have unmuted. You have muted it again. Mohan sir, can you unmute it from your end only to avoid confusion? A little low bandwidth at Dr. Mohan Ganesh sir's place as well. Mohan Ganesh sir, can you hear us? We can't hear you, sir. We can't hear you. Can you pull out the headphone cord and plug it again, please?
Yeah.
No, we still can't hear you now. Mohan Ganesh sir, we can't hear you. Anil sir, can you hear him, sir?
No. I think you'll have to remove your earplugs. Some problem with the audio. Yeah.
Yes. Lose connection, because on and off we can hear you. No, sir. No, sir. We are still not able to hear you. We can see the lip movement, but there is no voice at all. No, not yet, sir. Can you completely remove it, sir? I will make myself as a presenter. We will try that also. Okay, Mohan sir, can you? Hello, we can't hear you, sir. No. Can you please pull out the plug?
With the computer mic, I am speaking.
Okay.
Now it's okay. Now it's okay, sir. Now it's okay.
Yeah, this is fine. Okay.
Yeah, now it's okay. You can speak on the computer mic. Yeah, that is better. That is better. Let us not use that.
I'm making you as the presenter. We will load your PPT, sir.
Okay, sir. I will share the content.
Yeah.
We apologize for the technical glitch, and
Sorry
again, again we would like to welcome the speaker, Dr. Mohan Ganesh. He will continue with his presentation. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. At the outset, I express my sincere thanks to ICAI Pondicherry chapter as well as Ramco Cement for organizing this event. Today I'm going to give a presentation about the sustainable concrete. In that, strength and durability of high volume fly ash concrete and bottom ash concrete I am going to give. The content of my presentation. Introduction, environmental issues, exploitation of natural resources, utilizing industrial waste, research in alternate materials in building, and at VAT, what we have done. Introduction. You know very well about the industrial sector. A number of many sectors are there that produces goods and services for us, providing services for us. Out of all, manufacturing industry, power sector, and chemical industry are the most common one, which is directly helping the civil engineering community. So in that, the power sector, number of power plants are there that producing the power and electricity to all, but at the same time, it emits the air pollution as well as land pollution also. It creates a land pollution also. This picture, it shows the waste bottom ash, waste pond ash. It is dumped on nearby the unused pond. Here, in this picture, it shows the wet pond ash. It is pumping into the ash pond. It is permanently stored for 10 to 15 years or even 20 years. Here, the bottom ash, which is collected under the hooper. So, in the exploitation of the natural resources. Here, for our civil engineering building materials, for cement, we have to depend on the lime. For sand, we have to depend on the natural river. For coarse aggregate, we need the crushed gravels. And for manufacturing the bricks, we need the clay. So for all our civil engineering materials, we need the natural resources. But over a period of time, now we are facing, say, for example, now we are facing the sand problem. So we forcibly have to use the manufacturing sand. The various industrial waste. The thermal power station, which produces fly ash. Again, same, the thermal power station, which produces bottom ash as well as pond ash also. Sugar industries that are producing package ash. Silica industries producing the micro silica, and again producing the nano silica also. The crushers, it is producing quarry dust or M sand now. So for any alternate building material, suppose we want to choose, first we have to find out the physical and chemical composition of the material. So here, this table, it gives the chemical composition of the cement. The content is calcium oxide, calcium calcium oxide are it's around 61 to 67%. Silicon dioxide, it is in the range of 19 to 23%. Aluminum oxide, ferric oxide, sulfur oxide also is there. This is the composition of cement. Now, for fly ash. Fly ash, you know, 3 different types of fly ash is there, class C, class F. These are the most 2 other common one. Class C mean it is called high calcium fly ash. It is from the lignite based one. So our Neyveli Lignite Corporation, it is producing the lignite based fly ash. Other power plants, they are putting the class F fly ash. So the composition of the ash, again silicon dioxide, A2O3, ferric oxide, calcium oxide. Sand also generally we are using it. Even sand also that contains silica, alumina, all other materials are there. Now the microsilica, again it is the most common material nowadays we are using. It is obtained from the silicon industries. Here this is a chemical composition. So all the materials which are having CaO or silicon dioxide or Al2O3, aluminum oxide. So for choosing any alternate material, first we have to find out how much percentage of either calcium oxide or silicon dioxide or aluminum oxide is there. Suppose some new material which does not contain any of this, then it may not be suitable. Probably it may not be suitable for our construction work, because we have to find the suitability of the material. So that is the reason, beginning itself, I said to you, first for any material, any alternate material, it is required to find the chemical composition. Then only we can get the binding property of that. Otherwise, it will act as an inert material only. On this slide, it shows the physical appearance of cement and fly ash. This is most of the people you know. And again, the physical appearance of microsilica and nanosilica. The size of the microsilica is it's around 0.1 microns. Nanosilica, it is in the range of nanometer. It is tough to see. It is a highly better we can use a liquid or diluted nanosilica for our purpose. Again, this picture, it shows the physical appearance of sugarcane baggage ash, and it's a grinded sugarcane baggage ash. This picture shows the crushed gravel, and this is another one. In place of crushed gravel, nowadays people are started to use the artificial lightweight aggregate manufactured using the fly ash and with small quantity of cement as a binder. Again, this is a physical appearance of sand, and the alternate material sand or quarry dust. Nowadays we are using it. Now, mainly for either fine aggregate or coarse aggregate, here we have to do the particle size distribution. Then only we can do, you know, the particle packing theory. So we have to conduct and we have to plot it. Accordingly, we have to adjust the particle size distribution. Then only we can get the proper bond or proper interlocking between the either fine aggregate or coarse aggregate or in the concrete. So this is a compulsory one for fine aggregate as well as coarse aggregate. Nowadays, again, the people, they started to use the recycled aggregate also. Mainly the demolition of concrete or the demolition of building, they are making the recycled aggregate. For this also, again, we have to use the particle size distribution. Now, the another one, this is the most common one, bricks, we are using it. But the alternate for the bricks is fly ash bricks, with again some percentage of cement. People are using it. The another one, the recycled plastic. Nowadays, the disposal of plastic is a common problem. Some of the institute, some of the R&D organization, they have initiated, and now they are making the bricks using the recycled plastics. Here, for any alternate material, again, I want to say that first we have to see the physical property and we have to find the chemical property. Then only we have to proceed further. Then the further properties, the next one is the mechanical property. Mechanical properties mean the compressive strength of the material, tensile strength of the material. Then we have to find the flexural strength of the material. These are the again basic 3 property which is need for the structural aspect of materials. Then for the durability aspect, we have to conduct these are all the 4 tests. 4 basic tests: rapid chloride permeability test, water absorption test, sorptivity test, and chemical attack. Now, just out of the box, I want to say, now I want to give one virtual assignment to you. These are all the material I want to give it to you. 1 liter of milk, 1 liter of water, 1 kg of sugar, 1 kg of tea powder, elachi, and masala. The requirement is you have to make 300 ml 2 cup of tea, one for you and one for me. Okay. So suppose now nearly 150 participants are there. Is it possible? Can we get the same quality of tea from all? Obviously, it is not at all possible, because some person they may use more quantity of milk, some person they may use more quantity of water, other person with sugar or without sugar or with light sugar, they will go. In some kind of people are there. They want the strong tea or light tea or normal, medium. So many terms are there. Again, this is another additional add-ons like elachi or masala. Somebody they will use elachi tea, and again, if it is free, they want to go for the full flavored elachi strong tea. So in that way, suppose 150 other, it is too tough to find out the same material or same tea from 2 of the people. The similar thing is happening even in the country also. We know we are all the civil engineers. Definitely we know how to make the good quality of the concrete, what is the requirement, what is the purpose. But unfortunately, on the field, the laborers, the uneducated people, they are producing or they are making the concrete. They don't know anything about the concrete, but with experience, they learned all. And for them, if we say we have to maintain the 30 grade or M30, or after 20-day compressive strength, it should be minimum 30 or 35. Now, they may think in different way. Even water, you know the importance of maintenance of water cement ratio. Only this much quantity, only 5 liter you have to add per mix or per trial. Now, definitely they may, in front of us, definitely they will listen. But once if we go out, they won't follow the process. Simply they will add extra additional quantity of the water. You know the process. If we add more quantity of water, definitely for them it will be very easy. They will get good workability. But what is the drawback of that? Obviously, we will lose the strength of the concrete. That it will result the durability of the concrete. So in that way, we have to maintain the strict quality control. We have to maintain the proper water cement ratio. But on the field, is it possible to maintain with RMC? Definitely we can maintain, but I am not at all talking about the RMC ready mix concrete. Here, the general concrete only I want to say. So in that case, the labor, they are the people, they don't know anything about it. They want, with their convenience, they want to make the concrete. So they are doing like making the tea, they are doing all kind of things. But at the outcome, we have to face whether after 28 days, the proper strength, whether we have obtained or not, whether the durability or cracking, anything is there. So all the things we have to face the problem. So in that case, we have to be very careful while giving the or while executing the project. Now, so for that only I said, for any alternate material, first we have to do the chemical property or we have to do the chemical analysis, then physical analysis also parallelly we have to do. This is the first phase. Second phase, the detailed mechanical properties we have to find out, like a compressive strength, tensile strength, and flexural strength. Then the third phase for durability aspect, RCPT or water absorption or sorptivity or chemical attack we have to do. So at VT, we have done we have done research on the so many alternative materials in buildings. We are going to see all. Now, before that, I want to talk about waste management. What is waste management? What is the need to do the waste management? How to control that? If you are not doing the waste management, what are all the effect we are going to get? So for all the questions, I have given the answer. The activities and the actions which is required to manage the waste from inception to disposal, that is called the waste management. That includes collection, transport, treatment, and disposal of waste, together with monitoring and regulation of waste management process. Here, the main to do the waste management is to reduce the adverse effect of health and environmental aspect, or to maintain the aspect. The one more thing I want to say that the practice or the course which is not at all uniform in all the country. For example, the Singapore government are advanced developed like a US or UK, they are following stringent rules for maintaining the waste. But India, we are liberal, but nowadays we are changing the rules. Now, for making the good sustainable concrete, we have to utilize the industry waste or byproducts to replace the raw materials for making the concrete. The raw material may be either cement or fine aggregate or coarse aggregate. So with that, easily we can make the sustainable concrete. Here, suppose if we replace the material with cement, mean it is called supplementary cementitious materials, is simply SCMs, are called binder materials. At VAT, we have done the high volume fly ash concrete, that is up to 60% of the replaced with fly ash. Silica fume also we have used up to 10% silica fume. Bottom ash up to 50% we have used in place of sand. Again, fly ash aggregate also we have done with coarse aggregate. So these are the most common material nowadays people are using it. The beneficial effect of the coal ash in the concrete. Here, this diagram, it shows the what are the benefits we are going to get. Say, suppose for example, cement is there. So if you use the fly ash in place of the cement, means here it will reduce the consumption of the natural resource, the mainly lime and GHG, and reduce the disposal of problem of fly ash also, because the power plants nowadays they are manufacturing like anything. So that disposal problem also easily we can reduce. This is a primary aspect. On the other hand, in the indirect benefits are by using the more quantity of fly ash, it reduces the rise in temperature inside the concrete. So the fly ash concrete or high volume fly ash concrete is recommended for the mass volume, mass concreting. Further, it reduces the shrinkage, increases the durability, and it can gain strength at later days, 56 days or even at 90 days also. At VAT, even we have done up to 365 days compressive strength. The next one, bottom ash. Bottom ash mainly nowadays people are replacing with fine aggregate. Nowadays, some plants, some of the power plant bottom ash which is equivalent to cement. So people are replacing even with cement also. But here I want to limit with only fine aggregate. We want to replace only with the fine aggregate since NLC which is equivalent to our sand, that we will see later. So by using the bottom ash in the concrete, it conserves the river sand and reduce the cost and reduce the disposable problems. So this is a direct benefit. Indirect benefits are good dimensional stability within the matrix. It increases the durability of the concrete, reduction in the rise in temperature like a fly ash, reduction in the shrinkage property. Fly ash aggregates in place of the coarse aggregate. It directly prevents the mining, quarrying, and deforestation. The indirect benefits are good bonding with the matrix, and it's a durable, a lightweight, reduction in the shrinkage. Like here, the 3 R's, you know all, the reduce, reuse, and recycle. So based on this only, we have used the fly ash, bottom ash, and fly ash aggregate in the concrete. Here, what all the work we have done. And now I am going to present about the first project which we have done with the DST, Technology Information Forecasting Assessment Council. In this, we have conducted a detailed study, a study on high volume fly ash concrete used for RCC slab. So most of the people, they have done only with normal concrete, but we have extended our work even to RCC structures, RCC beams and slab. It was done in the year 2008 to 11, 10 years back. I was a principal investigator. My colleague Dr. A. Shanti was a co-investigator. I am going to give the detail about this project. What is a need? Already I said to you, we need power. So in that way, the easiest way, increase the number of thermal power plants. So once if we construct the thermal power plant, automatically the problem will be the disposal of the fly ash. So for how to use it effectively, the best, easiest way is we can put it in the cement. The present IS code, it is giving a recommendation up to 35% of the fly ash we can use it in the cement in place of cement. That's called PPC, you know, everybody, but most of the people directly we are not using it, but RM plants they are using it. In this study, we went up to 60% of the replacement of cement with fly ash. So for that, we have done a very detailed program. It was a 4-year study. The first phase, we have collected the different materials and the compressive strength, different grades, different percentage of fly ash with a different type of curing for various periods. And on the second phase, we have done the various different type of hardened tests, mechanical properties like a compression test, split tensile strength, flexural strength, and chloride ion test. Third phase, we have done the RCC beams and slabs for the scaled models. So the main purpose for this project, we have used a lignite-based class fly ash, which was obtained from the Neyveli Lignite Corporation, and class F fly ash, that is low calcium fly ash from the Ennur thermal power plant. So by using the high volume of fly ash in the concrete, that will reduce the consumption of cement as well as reduction in the CO2 emission. This is a thumb rule, you know, everybody knows. Production of 1 ton of clicker release the 1 ton of CO2. So 50% if you release mean 50% of the CO2, nearly half ton of the CO2 we can minimize it. Now, either IS code or Euro code for finding the strength, they always say minimum 3 cubes we have to test at 7 day as well as 28 day. That is the M30 grade means that is the process. After 28 days, curing, we have to do the compressive strength. But for this project, since we went with a different type of percentage, for particular means we cast our nearly 50 plus cube in a single casting. So this picture, it shows the complete view of one set of casting. For curing, we followed the different types of curing, accelerated curing. What is the meaning of accelerated curing? After 24 hours of the casting, the mold with cubes were kept in the hot water and we maintained around 98 degrees centigrade for 3.5 hours. After that, we have demolded and we have to do the testing, which will give nearly equal to 28 days strength of the 28 days compression of the concrete. The next process, warm water curing. That we have to do immediately after casting. The molds were covered with top cover plate and it should be kept in the water, and we have to maintain the 55 degrees centigrade or 35 degrees centigrade for 24 hours. You see this picture, top and bottom of the mold, it's fully covered, it's airtight, fully covered, and we have maintained that. So the main purpose for these two different alternate curing method is easily we can get the correlated 28-day compressive strength of the concrete. So we no need to wait for 28 days. That is the main advantages of these two methods. IS code also it is recommending, ASTM also it is recommending. So we have done for all our mixers. Normal curing, you know very well. In this beginning itself, I said to you, up to 365 days curing we have done. The main reason for 365 day curing is we have replaced the cement with 60% of fly ash. So for that only we have done the 365 day. And again, already I said to you, the durability is the most important one. So for this, we have collected the water from the Bay of Bengal, and parallelly we created a tank and we put all the specimens into the tank and on alternative days. And this procedure was repeated up to 365 days to check the durability. The earlier we thought of simulating the seawater, but sometimes definitely if we simulate the seawater, easily we can maintain the proper quality control. But we want to know what is the actual what is the behavior in the actual water. So for that only directly we have collected from the Bay of Bengal. Now this is one graph which shows the compressive strength of concrete. Here in this class C, that is high volume fly ash or Neyveli lignite fly ash, 603 point. It's a high content, high binder content. 360 or 450, that is a normal range, but here we want to get the high strength concrete. So for that, we went for the higher binder content. So the compressive strength is around 80 days at 360, after 365 days curing. You see the graph, how it behaves, how the strength is obtained. This is a various graph. This is A20, it's for normal curing. That is control concrete. A means it's a control concrete with normal curing. Control concrete with alternate wet and dry curing. This is a class C fly ash with 20% replacement, normal curing, 20% with alternate wet and dry, 40% of replacement with normal curing, 40% of replacement with wet and dry curing, 60% of replacement with normal curing and wet and dry curing. So this is a strength development, how we have achieved it. For 60% replacement, this is a curve. Comparing to this, the beginning day, the earlier day, either 1 day or 7 day, we did not get the strength, but after 28 day or 56 day, we have achieved nearly 40 MPa. But on the other hand, all other either 40% replacement or 20% replacement, we have achieved nearly 60 to 80 MPa. This is a plot. So again, with F fly ash, this is a diagram. We have achieved various things. These last two graphs are for 60% replacement, but end of 90 day or 365 day, we have obtained our target strength for this 603.2 kg constant binder content. Now, so the second phase, we have to do the detailed study. We have done the rise in temperature, compressive strength and density for 150 mm cube, and compressive strength and split tensile for 100 mm cylinders, and modulus of elasticity with the cylinder and plastic shrinkage, RCPT, and RCC beam with deflection test. Here, the size of the beam is 1.4 meter. Dimension is 700. Two type of beams we have done. First set is 1.4 meter. Second set is 700 meter with 100 mm by 150 mm. This is the cross section. The reason for this, we have used the flexural mold for making this concrete. Sorry, for making this beam. So this is another pictorial view. More than 100 plus beams we cast for each, either 0.7 mm, 0.7 meter category or 1.4 meter category. This we have done in the year 2010. And for conducting the large scale test, this is a spreader beam arrangement. The slab we cast like this, and the UDL load we want to apply. Instead of going for the knee backs, we made the arrangement, the spreader beam arrangement, and we have applied the loads. This is another pictorial view of the loading arrangement, which we have done at our lab. This is the RCC slab. Using the hydraulic jack, we have applied the load. So this load is divided into 2 beam, and this 2 beam again divided into 4. So here it's divided into 4. And again this divided into multiple way. So in that way we have obtained the UDL on the RCC slab. So all the readings, everything we have recorded with the help of using the data acquisition system. Now I want to go for the bottom ash as well as fly ash aggregate. Here in this, we have done the mix design with the low binder content, 333 kg per meter cube. Simultaneously, it is replaced with 10% of fly ash, 20 or 30 or 40. And parallelly, we have replaced the fine aggregate with the bottom ash, which we have obtained from the Neyveli Lignite Corporation. 0, 30, 60, and even 100% also, we have done the replacement with fine aggregate. So absolutely, we did not use fine aggregate for this. Only bottom ash we have used it. For comparison purpose, we have maintained the constant binder content, and slump cone value also 10 to 20 mm we have done. Here we have used the high range water reducing admixtures, the super plasticizer. 4th generation SP we have used it. So for maintaining this W as well as slump cone, and to get the proper strength and durability of the concrete, because nowadays super plasticizer are the one of the is part of our concrete, so we have to add, so it will give lot of positive effect to our concrete structure. So with this, we have done the testing on fresh concrete as well as hardened properties of the concrete. Hardened property mean again as well as strength and durability aspect. So this is the methodology we have followed for testing the various materials. The fly ash, we have used the ASTM-C for checking the physical properties of fly ash, and chemical properties like XRD, XRF we have done, and particle size distribution, size, everything we have done with consistency, specific gravity, initial and final setting time of the cement we have done it. And for fine aggregate and bottom ash, again with the chemical properties using the XRD and XRF, and various physical properties we have done, specific gravity, sieve analysis for grading, and water absorption we have done it. And for coarse aggregate and fly ash based aggregate for the again the physical property, specific gravity, impact test. Since we manufactured the fly ash aggregate, we should know what is the impact value as well as crushing value and abrasion test. Everything we have done, it was compared with the coarse aggregate, and we have done the water absorption also. So finally, suppose you are using the fly ash aggregate, mean it should be at par with the coarse aggregate. There should not be any deviation. The next phase, we have done the green concrete with fly ash and bottom ash. Here, the fly ash, we either 0%, that's for control mix, 20%, 30%, and 40%. Again, we have used the bottom ash in place of the sand with 0, 30, 60, and 100. And these first properties of the concrete. Slump cone test, rise in temperature, we have done it. The slump cone as per ASTM standard C143, and these are all the various hardened properties of the concrete we have done. Again, the hardened property we can classify into strength as well as durability aspect. The strength mean the basic is compressive strength. So for finding the compressive strength, normal curing, then the accelerated curing, warm water curing, we have done it. Strength aspect, the strength like split tensile strength, flexural strength, and modulus of elasticity we have done. And durability, RCPT, rapid chloride permeability test, plastic shrinkage, and drying shrinkage we have done. Since the bottom ash is a coarser material, we have to do proper dosage, proper mixing, and proper care. If you are not doing it, it will give a reverse effect or anti-effect. So in that way, the plastic shrinkage will be very high, as well as drying shrinkage also will be very high. So we have to be very careful while using the bottom ash, and with super plasticizer and all. So this is a must one. We have done all, and it was compared with ASTM standard. Now, this is a basic property. Already I said to you. Sand as well as bottom ash, we have done the sieve analysis, and the particle size distribution curve we have plotted. This is a blue line, it shows the curve for the bottom ash, and red for the sand. Okay, both are comparable, and all other properties are given here. Again, the chemical properties of fly ash, bottom ash, and cement we have compared with the help of XRF and XRD. This is the XRD, and XRF, it directly gives the various composition, how much percentage of silicon dioxide, aluminum oxide, or ferric, or calcium, or magnesium. Directly it will give for the particular sample. And moreover, we have to do this on daily basis for different samples. Then only we can get the average value of that. So this is the way. So which is comparable with the property of cement and sand. The properties of fly ash and bottom ash, which is comparable with cement and sand. So we have done for further work. The physical properties of the aggregate. The river. This is a value for our material, what we have used. Bottom ash, fineness modulus, specific gravity, and water absorption. And coarse aggregate 12.5 and 20 mm. These are all the various value which we have compared with our manufactured fly ash aggregates. So in the beginning itself, I said to you, for any alternate material, we have to do the vigorous testing. So in that case, for this mix, we have done various tests like rise in temperature, compressive strength, split tensile strength, flexural strength, modulus of elasticity, plastic, drying shrinkage, and RCPT with various number. And this is for per mix, how many number of specimens we cast at our lab. This is the total number of specimens. And this picture, it shows the experimental methodology. This already I have shown alternate wet and dry tank, curing tank, accelerated curing tank, and this is our curing tank. This is a setup we have used for finding the rise in temperature. Suppose if we place the concrete or high volume fly ash concrete, how much temperature or how much heat it is generated with thermometer or with the thermocouple we found. And for finding the compressive strength, UTM, and split tensile strength we have done. And for RCPT, this is for RCPT. Now the fly ash aggregate, already manufactured fly ash aggregate, we have compared with our aggregate. So these are all the values for our fly ash aggregate concrete. Here the pelletizer, small pelletizer, we have fabricated ourselves, and with fly ash, nearly around 10% of cement we have used as a binder and manufactured two different size of aggregates. This diagram, it shows the 12.5 mm size of the aggregate, and this is a 20 mm size of the fly ash aggregate. These are all the tested values of our fly ash aggregate, various values: fineness modulus, specific gravity, water absorption, crushing, impact, and abrasion. It should be at par with our fine coarse aggregate. Then only we have to use this in the concrete structure. Now in this, again we have divided our work into multiple phases. Our target compressive strength is 55 MPa, so easily we can achieve 50 MPa with a binder content of 389 kg per meter cube. In this, we have replaced 30% fly ash, 30% bottom ash, and 10% or 20% fly ash aggregate. And for comparison purpose, we have maintained the constant water binder ratio as well as slump value also. Here, the fly ash, for that we used the class C fly ash and some small quantity of, I think 2% of calcium hydroxide plus cement as a binder to make the pellets. So by for increasing the pelleting, we have added the cement. And all the manufactured aggregates, it was up to 90 days in the container bags. Again, another for concrete, the fresh property and hardened property. This, slump test and rise in temperature we have done along with all other tests. And hardened properties, strength and durability, these are all the two aspects. This already we have seen it. So we have done all for each and every mix again and again we have to do, and we have to benchmark ourselves. Then only we have to use for further purpose. So the, whatever now I have said, one of our PhD scholar, he has done this work. Based on this work only, we have made a proposal to Neyveli. It's a joint collaborative project. It was executed between 2010 and 14. I was a co-investigator. My colleague Dr. Shanti was the investigator. In this, we have used the bottom mass for construction activities as substitute of fine aggregates. Here you know the present problem. Last 2 years, it is too tough to get the sand. So the cost of the sand, it was very high. But nearly 8 to 10 years back itself, we have done, even we have submitted a proposal to NLC, they granted, and we have given a recommendation. All the details we will see later. So due to continuous usage of sand, we are facing the problem. Now the cost is very high. Even the government or code, it is insisting us to go for the manufactured sand. So the best alternative one is bottom ash. Up to 2010, the Neyveli Corporation, simply they have dumped the bottom ash. It is one of the waste product out in the ash pond. For our earlier project, for our fly ash project, for our DST project, we went at the time we found we had an interaction, and based on that we have done some trial test, and then we submitted the proposal to NLC. Then we have executed this. Okay, so the fly ash, which is equivalent to, it looks like a sand, but it having some impurities like a carbon and ferric oxide, all the things. So we have done the microscopic study. This is a sand, this is a bottom ash. So both are, it looks like the same. Here only the carbon particles are there, or ferric iron particles are there. This is the same image of the bottom ash. This is the unburned carbon. You can see the unburned carbon here. The scale is 500 micrometer. It was done in the year 2011. And again, we have compared we have done the particle size distribution. So both are comparable, bottom ash and sand. As usual, we have done a detailed test for all, like fresh stage as well as even the hardened stage. So many number of cubes for each mix, nearly 40 plus cubes we cast at a time. We have done the vigorous testing, and finally we have given a recommendation to NLC. And parallelly, NLC, they are using the hollow blocks or solid blocks also for their construction work. So we have done some study on this also, and in this completely we have eliminated the fine aggregate, and we have given a recommendation to use bottom ash for making the either solid block or hollow block. Last 8 years they are using it. Naval Lignite Corporation, they are using for their construction activity. And in between we have visited for trial mix, the NLC people, they cast the blocks in front of us. They are doing it. Both are Navy officials. This is my colleague, Dr. Shanti. So we have seen and we have given a recommendation. And finally, with vigorous test, after nearly 3 years, we gave our recommendation to NLC, and based on that, they constructed a full building with usage of minimum sand. For concrete, 100% they replaced. For concrete, nearly they replaced 50% of sand with bottom ash. And remaining all other components, they have used the solid block, which is made up of with fly ash. So end of that, done the testing with ultrasonic as well as rebound hammer in presence of NLC officials. The building is certified. So finally, this is the experimental building, which is at precasting yard. Last month also I was there at NLC. There is no issue in this building. They are using for their seminar purpose. Some students are going and doing their project. Even they are using for official meeting also. This was constructed at precasting yard. The building that was inaugurated by Naval Lignite Corporation CMD Sri Surendra Mohan in the year 2014. Friends, so all our research work, we have published more than 50 international journal papers and journals, national conference also. All the things we have uploaded in the website researchgate.net. Anybody, you can simply put my name in the Google, Mohan Ganesh VET or Mohan Ganesh Concrete. You will get the link. You can get all. So all the details, all the result, what are the methodologies we have followed, what are the different analysis we have carried out, how we have interpreted the result, everything it is available in the net. I would like to thank my colleague Dr. Shanti and all my PhD scholars and MTech scholars at VET and DST and NLC for sponsoring the project to us, and my mentors, my PhD guy, Dr. Kaushik, Dr. Shantakumar from IIT Madras or Anna University, and Dr. Neelamegam for ACRC, because since it is a new work, then and there I usually give a call to them and discuss about the problem. So this is a moment I want to even thank to them. And again, for VET to support the project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That's a wonderful presentation. In fact, sustainability has been the buzzword nowadays, because that is the order of the day. In fact, not only materials but processes and policy making it has to be there, and sustainability has to be followed from a holistic perspective. So that was a very good presentation. And before going on to the question, I would also request Engineer Radhakrishnan to give the concluding remarks. Then after that, maybe we will see whether the questions are coming. In fact, day after tomorrow, we have, as I was mentioning earlier, we have one more presentation on sustainability from Bureau of Indian Standards as per NBC 2016. So all the relevant clauses which has been incorporated in the recent NBC 2016 would be presented by Mr. Sanjay Pant and his colleague from BIS, and Mr. Roy Chaudhary, the Deputy Director General of BIS, would also be joining us. So day after tomorrow from 10 o'clock to 1 p.m. we would be having sustainability again from various perspectives. So let me hand over to Mr. Sivakandan Subramanian for the concluding, for the remarks, and Engineer Radhakrishnan for the remarks that you can give about the presentation. Over to you, Sivakandan, sir.
Thank you, sir. This is Murugan, ICA Puducherry chapter, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, sir. So thanks, thank you, Anil Kumar, sir. Then, sir, speaker, sir, are you okay? Dr. Mohan Ganesh, sir, thank you for this. Sir is not audible, I think so.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Just I'll start up with a simple question, sir, based on this fly ash.
Yes, sir.
Regarding this fly ash utilization, the first part is cement part, sir, replacement.
Yes,
Wherein
sir.
you're saying that we can go up to 60%.
Yeah.
But that actually this is being actually taken care by the cement manufacturers itself. They are,
Yes.
they are bringing into the PPC, which is directly
PPC and PPC, yes, sir.
PPC and PPC. The actual benefit is not actually transferred to the builder here,
Yes,
right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Whether it is possible to make a field replacement, wherein we need special equipment, something like that, so that we can bring that actual 60%, even if you are able to get 30%, which will be a very great benefit for a builder in cement savings. Is whether we have worked on any equipment based for this?
Sir, like suppose you want to use, you want to replace either 40% or 60%. For that, you need a proper blending, sir. Blending. So in that case, the RMC manufacturers, they are using it, because we people, we are using only the PPC, Portland Pozzolanic Cement. But RMC people, what are they doing? They are getting the OPC and they are mixing it, so they are getting the benefit. RMC people, they are getting the benefit. So the similar kind of things we also can do. Okay, or at the time of mixing the concrete, along with in general, 1 bag of cement, we are using it. But in place of that, half bag of the cement plus half bag of the fly ash, if you want, we can go ahead. We can get the benefit of bag of OPC with off bag or with some proper. But the important thing is we have to maintain the proper quality controls. At the beginning itself, I said to you, we are the civil engineers, we know the importance. So definitely we will maintain the water cement ratio, quantity of water and all. But on the field, the laborers, they are the layman in front of us, they will do all. But once we go out, or once we move the place from once we move out the place now, then they will do in their own way. So in that way, it will give a problem to us. So if we can maintain a strict quality control at that with the normal mixer itself, we can do this one. So easily we can get a benefit. But the problem is getting the fly ash is again toughest task, because directly all the German power plants, they are selling their product to cement industries only. So in that case, we have to go only for the large kind of construction. For large construction, easily we can adopt this.
No, sir. Actually, the Minister of MOEF guidelines says 10% of fly ash for the other players, like block making machinery, blocks, as well as this other usage, 90% to the thermal plants. But since this 10% is not being sufficiently supported for the thermal plants, they find it easy to give it to the cement players, wherein they dispose of it very quickly. This 10% disposal takes more time. That is the one issue that is there. That one more thing, sir, regarding this bricks and blocks utilization for bricks and blocks of fly ash. We have found effervescence issues. Basically, fly ash bricks doesn't have a very viable commercial market because of the effervescence. Because in your study, we have seen 365 days you are gone for the trials.
Yeah.
Because thing is, after the 2 months, 3 months, after the masonry, after plastering is over, people were getting effervescence from the, that was the paints were peeling out. This was creating a bigger issue. That is why the fly ash bricks are not having a very good market. They are not treated on par with country bricks. Even though their strength category is more than 50, but the problem is we don't have this effervescence issue makes a dent into the product. Whether there is any replacement, any additive to be added, sir?
Sir, here the fly ash, sir, the one more problem, one more thing I want to highlight here. Suppose everything is a constant, like power plant, even if you maintain everything is a constant, but because of load factor, the quality of the fly ash is varying. The quality of fly ash as well as bottom ash is varying. So yeah, every hour or every 30 minutes, we are getting a different type of fly ash or bottom ash. So in that way, we have to be very careful. Suppose we are getting a one lot from the power plant, no, we have to do proper testing by collecting the random sample. Then only we have to use. Suppose lot of variation is there, then we have to discard the same. Yeah. One more thing I want to point out here, we have done the bottom. We have used the Neyveli lignite power plant bottom ash. Only the mine 1 bottom ash we have used it. The mine 2 bottom ash, it is not suitable for this purpose. So we cannot do it. So for each source, we have to check properly. Then only we have to do the test. We have to use it.
Yeah, that's true, sir. Actually, this coal ashes, they don't have this effervescence issues. Only the lignite ash, wherever it is being used, they have this effervescence issues. Yes, sir.
It's there, but we cannot say for all the it may be for particular unit. It may be for particular time or particular consignment. We may have the problem. Some other consignment we may not have it. But it's too tough to differentiate which one is having, which one is not having it. That's why even now it is not popular. Flash.
Regarding this fine aggregate replacement, sir, whether
Yes,
the recommendations have been given to the government or any codal provisions or standards so that builders can, because as per the government GO, 150 kilometers from any thermal plant, they have to replace the conventional material with fly ash. That GO is there, but whether it is possible, any standards is there for replacement bottom ash for sand? Because sand is not very.
There is no stand. There is no sand. There is no standard. Last year only, because of sand scarcity, they have even CPWD or PWD. Now they have given a recommendation to use the M sand. Okay, for bottom ash, there is no standard now, sir.
Then we have to go for the 2.0 fly ash mission so that we can replace. Because first mission in 2005, they have made fly ash into a very valued commodity now. No more fly ash is a waste. You have to go for it. You have to go for e-tender and have the fly ash.
Yes, sir.
That is true. Then regarding this coarse aggregate, sir, whether many machineries are available in India so that we can make this coarse aggregate replacement.
Sir, coarse aggregate, we have to fabricate the pelletizer, sir. We have to fabricate the pelletizer. Okay. If anybody wants, they can do it. It's like it looks like our grinder only. Okay, with the small motor we made it. There is no standard manufacturers are there. Okay, if anybody wants, they can start even a small startup. Now they can do it.
Okay, so one more question from the audience. Cube strength for the cubes done with seawater.
Yes, sir.
What was the maximum strength, sir? Maximum minimum strength?
Sir, maximum strength. Yeah, I can go for the presentation. Yeah, like can I share the presentation?
Yeah, you can. Are you able to share it?
No, sir. No. It is not enabled. Yeah, now I can share. Yeah.
I have.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm going to share. Sir, this is a graph for particular binder content, 603 binder content. This is class F. Here, there is no much difference, sir, because of durability aspect. Beginning itself, I said to you, we have to maintain proper water cement ratio with admixtures. Then easily we can maintain durability or whatever may be a nature, either sea, because sea water it gives adverse effect on the concrete structure. You see, this is a graph. Wet and dry. This is a color, or even this is a 60% replacement. Normal curing, alternate wet and dry curing with a class C fly ash. A small minute difference is there. That in the beginning days we are having it, but later day both are comparable. At either 365 day or 56 or 90, we are getting nearly same strength. With the class F fly ash also same. This is for 60% replacement with normal curing, and this is alternate wet and dry curing. This is curve. Only the nominal difference or marginal is there between the both the mix due to strict water cement ratio with superplasticity, high range admixtures, high range water reducing admixtures. That is Gelanium 4 we have adopted. 4th generation ESP we have adopted. We used it, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Over to our Vice Chairman ICA Puducherry chapter for the vote of thanks.
Any concluding remarks from Radhakishan, sir? Engineer Radhakishan, sir, you are able to hear us?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I am very thankful to Dr. Mohan for enlightening us with a detailed talk on usage of supplementary cementitious materials, especially on fly ash, bottom ash, and pond ash, and other alternate materials. India is not fully exploring the opportunity to use the fly ash available, though it is abundantly available. Many of the cement manufacturing companies, they are the major users as a supplementary cementitious material, but it is not fully explored because of certain reasons like logistics problem, collection of these materials, gradation, and maintaining the uniformity in quality. These are all some of the hurdles. That's why this is not being fully explored. I'm sure that a lot of importance is being given nowadays, and definitely all these problems will be sorted out, and the usage of such supplementary cementitious will be on the increase in the days to come. I'm very thankful to Dr. Mohan on this talk, and also Amco Cements for giving us this opportunity to listen to Dr. Mohan on an important topic. Thanks to all and also.
Thank you so much, sir. And I would also like to add something. In fact, the subject of addition of fly ash had come about because as far as the cement standard is concerned, it is between 15 to 35%. And most of us, of course, limit below 35% only as per the codal provision. That is one thing. And second thing is that we also need to take care of the practices, because as efflorescence issue had come about, efflorescence is basically more due to compaction. If you do compaction properly, and if alternate wetting and drying is avoided, I think efflorescence can be avoided, because only when water enters the concrete surface, leaches out the white deposit, it comes out. So I think more than materials as well as practices both go hand in hand to ensure that the concrete is of good quality. So nice interaction. In fact, there is one more question which the attendee has asked. What was the material used for plastering? There also bottom fly ash substitute for sand in the experimental setup. Is it, sir?
We used it, sir. We used it. We used only the bottom ash.
What about the water absorption? Water absorption for bottom ash?
So it's at par with our normal sand only. That's why in one of my presentation, one of the slides I have shown it. Each and everything we have to compare, and based on if it is at par, then only we have to use it. The building, it is live now, since most of the participants are nearby Pondicherry. Whenever you are going to Neyveli, you please go to the precasting yard. The building, it is available now. Yeah, so you can see the building.
I think seeing is believing. I think
yeah, and moreover, all the test results, all the mix design, everything we have published it, and it's available in the net. You can refer it, and anytime you can send
already
mentioned. I will give a reply. Yeah.
Over to ICA Pondicherry Center for the vote of thanks, sir.
you, sir. A vote of thanks on behalf of ICI Puducherry Center. I thank our Chief Guest Engineer R. Radhakrishnan, Secretary General, ICI Headquarters. Next, I thank our Speaker, Dr. G. Mohan Ganesh, COU, VIT Vellore, for his wonderful presentation. Next, I thank Engineer Anil Kumar Pillai, GM Technical Service, MES, Ramco Cement Limited, Chennai. I thank all near 250 participants and the ICI Puducherry Center members, Pondicherry Civil Engineers Association members, Federation of all Civil Engineers of Tamil Nadu and Puducherry members for making this webinar a success. Thank you, sir. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. Let's
Thank you. Thank you very much.
with ICI as well as Ramco Cement, because we had good collaboration from Salem Center and Hyderabad Center as well.
Yeah.
There was good cooperation from those centers also. So let us keep up with
So it's a good sign, sir. Let us hope many more things to come.
Thank you so much, sir. Radhakrishnan sir and all others. Thank you so much.
You.